Have you ever wanted to live out your innermost furry fantasy? You know what, on second thought, don't answer that. It's probably going to open up a whole lot of weird that I just do not want to learn. Cat Fantasy essentially lets you do that. You take on the role of a Neko person as you build a harem of Neko people. And you attempt to take over the world, or to save the world. Because bad people are doing bad things, and as the single capable person on the entire planet, you're tasked with assembling an elite team of warriors, each with their own unique talents and specialties, for essentially the Avengers. Hey, my name is Stix, and welcome back to a brutal gacha review, a series where I discuss a gacha game and I tell you guys what I thought of it in explicit detail. Now, if this is your first time here, consider subscribing to the channel, hitting the little bell notification, that way you remain up to date with every single thing that I post, and I post daily. Do not miss out. Now, let's go ahead and talk Cat Fantasy, which was probably pitched something like this.
Hi, sir. I think we've come up with a phenomenal idea for a new gacha game. Oh, absolutely fantastic. I love money. Don't we all? So basically, you play as a character that loves pussy. Cats. Pussy. Cats. Oh, that sounds cute. Totally, except all the cats are actually people with just like cat ears and like a tail. So why not just have them be people then, instead of cats? Because we have this incredibly innovative new feature that lets you become a cat. What purpose does that serve? Well, you can drink milk. You know what I think? I think we should have some incredibly explicit skins locked behind some egregiously expensive paywalls. Then we should make sure that people are paying as much as possible to make any type of progress in game.
Cat Fantasy is a pretty average gacha game. You have your home screen where the bulk of the game takes place. You get to stare at your characters respectfully, of course. You access the story, resource grinding, cafe, clan, and pretty much every feature seamlessly. The story consists of dozens of chapters, with each chapter possessing several combat and non-combat missions. Surprisingly, and I was taken a little aback by this, you tend to spend more time doing non-combat activities than you do engaging in combat. There are a few filler battles where you can use auto combat to easily power through what is essentially monster fodder. Then you get to the main battle, a boss fight with a little bit of story and no auto feature, requiring you actively put your knowledge to use. Unless, of course, you've been skipping everything and have absolutely no idea what you're doing, in which case you just over-level content and you'll be fine. If you're like me, too mechanically challenged to comprehend what is necessary, just brute force it. Easy. The story isn't anything special, granted I only watched some of it, I skipped the rest. Partly because I felt like it was too convoluted for my liking. I want a cohesive story to be told without the need for unnecessary fluff. This is unfortunately a rarity in gacha games. There's a challenge mode that unlocks after clearing chapter 17. Yeah, let that sink in for a moment. 17 whole chapters. And in 6 days, I managed to clear up through 8, playing about 1 to 2 hours per day and 3 hours per stream. One thing that will become immediately apparent while playing the game is that it does not value or reward your time. On the contrary, you're overwhelmed by so many different features, and often you'll take more times than is necessary to merely complete your dailies. I can clear my Blue Archive or Arknight's dailies in 5 minutes. Cat Fantasy, 15, maybe 20. To continue with the story, you're tasked with completing menial tasks that you might not want to even focus on, like cooking. I hated this feature. I did not want to cook. I did not want to fish, yet I am forced to participate in both activities. Level various different dishes, farm materials, meat, fish. All of this takes time. All of this takes stamina, which detract from the gameplay overall. Most of the time, I felt like I was merely clicking through menus, letting the game farm for me, just so I could continue the story missions for a few minutes before being forced back into side activities for another 20. I love having the option of numerous types of content, but when you're forced into engaging in it repeatedly, especially when you dislike it, that dislike begins to spread to the game overall, and it's many little things like that that made me log in less and less over the week I played it. Let's take Kato City here as an example. You'll see the Ivorous Expanse to the left. This is a self-contained game mode that allows you to freely navigate and explore a small zone, collecting resources and solving puzzles. Honestly, a fun little activity on the side. Then there's a Simu Battle Center, which functions more or less like an endless tower, where every level gets progressively more difficult and you're rewarded for every level you pass. Nightmare's Call is locked behind Chapter 11. There are several different regions. I've unlocked Southport and Quince. Each district has their own purpose. Southport lets you fish, farm gear, and upgrade materials for higher tier characters. Quince allows you to farm elemental, upgrade chips, general materials, XP items to level your characters. Both districts have different types of foods you can farm, which ties into cooking, something I wish didn't exist in game. The Air Express is yet another feature, which, as you fulfill a set number of orders related to cooking, there's a Master Duel locked behind Chapter 8, the Arena locked behind Chapter 10, World Bosses locked behind Chapter 11, and Phantom Clash locked behind Chapter 15. It's great that there are so many options to select from when it comes to how you want to play the game, but again, it is absolutely overwhelming, and finding the time to do all of this takes away from other games and other things you might want to do. And that is just Kato City. Before we jump any deeper into this, though, let me take a moment here to thank my incredible patrons over on Patreon and my YouTube channel members who allow for me to continue to do dedicated videos like this every single day. You guys are phenomenal, and I can't thank you all enough for the support. Now, let's make our way over to the cafe. You'll notice a lot of options. Treasure, allowing you to deploy little cats that you obtain that accumulate resources slowly over time. Essentially an idle resource gathering feature. These cats also come in various rarities. Filling report, which is yet another resource you accumulate slowly over time by selling the various different dishes you cook. You have individual managers who provide a variety of different benefits that you assign. They also need an exorbitant amount of rest. These numbers really do need to be altered. Your cafe has its own level, and increasing levels allows for additional managers and items to be sold. Settings, which is where you select a drink, a main dish, and desserts to be sold. These earn you resources the longer time passes. You can openly customize your cafe with a variety of different aesthetic options, kinda like you would a dorm room in other gacha games. There's a lounge where you send your Neko girls to rest, allowing you to restore their stamina and redeploy them. And then you can freely walk around the cafe, interacting with some of the customers, fulfilling requests, being weird. These are all things that you need to micromanage each day, coupled with all of the resource farming that you'll be doing in Kato City. A new clan feature was rolled out recently as well, allowing you to essentially walk around and share a public space with other weird Neko commanders. You can eat pussy, you can feed your cat here. Your Neko girls can be upgraded in a variety of different ways. I've managed to ascend a few of mine to UR, but typically you level them, you increase their power. This is via the XP items that you grind in the city. You ascend them, you increase their overall power using materials you grind in the city as well. This raises their level cap, allowing you to continue to clear content. Character dupes are used to star them up, increasing their power. They have individual equipment, which can be leveled and increased in power as well. Much like the Neko girls themselves, you farm gear in the city. Then there are outfits, which are also levelable, increasing in stats with each level attained. And then the primary focus of the game, the combat. Sure, you can argue that story is a primary focus, but after a certain point, you're gonna find yourself lacking in story, but still engaging in combat every day. Combat is turn-based, meaning that you'll select abilities, enemies will select abilities, and then you'll just go back and forth, beating each other up. Until a single side remains victorious. Characters look good, abilities look good, animations look good. Honestly, the combat overall is pretty polished. It utilizes an elemental affinity system where fire beats grass, grass beats water, water beats fire in essence. There really isn't much complexity to it, which isn't a negative. With how much is going on in this game, that is actually a positive. You want something nice and easy to understand. The gacha element itself isn't horrible. You're guaranteed a max rarity unit after 80 pulls with a 50-50 split, meaning if at 80 pulls you don't get the limited banner character, you'll attain them with 100% certainty after 80 additional pulls. Right now, you can also receive a ton of free premium currency to pull with, so if you were thinking of starting, this might be a good time to. They won't be there forever. I genuinely had some fun in Cat Fantasy. That fun slowly decreased the more I played, as I was required, or forced, rather, to continue to engage in activities that I just did not want to engage in, just to get to the point of the game where I could play the game. And while they are very generous in terms of pulls, the game also gets progressively less free-to-play friendly the further you progress through it. Now, let's break down my rating. Combat, 6 out of 10. It's similar to Reverse 1999, featuring cards with varying skills, it's turn-based, and each character looks and feels good in combat. Story, 3 out of 10. Whoa there, relax. I got bored with it pretty quickly. I felt that it was far too cluttered to really enjoy, which seems to be a recurring theme in most gacha games, but that's just me. World, 2 out of 10. There is no world to explore, limiting the control that you have over your characters. Graphics, 6 out of 10. The characters look good, not great, but better than a lot of releases in the last year. Abilities look good, skins look good. Sound, 5 out of 10. There were a few solid songs present and voice acting was pretty good, but nothing really memorable that stood out. Overall, I would give this a 22 Neko Girls out of 50 Neko Girl litters. Honestly, not a bad game, but also not a game I'd play full time. Hey you, where do you think you're going? Don't you close out of this tab. I didn't give you permission to do that. Sit your ass back down. Click one of the 2 videos that are gonna be on screen in just a moment and keep watching my content. Keep enjoying my content.